As the crypto winter of 2022 has set in, consumers and institutions are finding out the hard way not all crypto companies are created equally. Joining me now is our friend Greg Johnson, the CEO of Rubicon Crypto, with some timely information on the growing concerns of many investors about bankruptcies in the crypto industry. Greg, how does that affect people and their cryptocurrencies? Is that like a 5-alarm fire right now?
Well, I think the alarms are sounding, Jeff, and I think we're at least at a 3 or 4. And, you know, look, bankruptcies are obviously not what you want in any industry. In the crypto industry especially, there are things that folks need to pay attention to. Now, most of the bankruptcy proceedings that are taking place right now are impacting institutional investors or large affluent families. But individual investors, just like you and I, may be not too far down the line when it comes to the impact of bankruptcies. What I mean by that is the following. You know, historically, if you're a big company and you have large resources, you always get to the front of the line. In a bankruptcy proceeding, you know, there's a long line of folks that are waiting to get the resources that are left over when a bankruptcy takes place. And big institutions typically have the resources to collect the lion's share. Now, that's true in crypto. But what people are finding out is that where a company was registered, what country, and indeed what state can make a big difference. And then the other thing that folks are finding out is the entity structure, meaning not all crypto companies, crypto exchanges are formed the same way. So, for example, some companies like Gemini and Paxos are crypto exchanges that are in New York State, and they're formed as trust entities, which give consumers more protection. The big company that's got everybody talking about this is, of course, Coinbase, one of the largest exchanges in the world. And with this really depressed market with the crypto winter, everyone's concerned about, my goodness, if they go bankrupt, does that mean I will lose my crypto? And the answer is yes, you would, even though we believe that's less likely.
So what does that mean for those who want greater regulation and supervision in the digital asset industry?
It's a great question, Jeff. What it means is they're going to get their wish. You know, look, I've already talked with you before that this has felt like the endless summer of crypto and digital asset regulation. And with this slew of bankruptcies that are taking place globally and indeed in the United States, it's going to give more ammunition for the people that have said, look, we need more regulation, we need more supervision and compliance, and nothing like a trove of bankruptcies for people to want to get their way. But this reminds me a lot like 20 years ago during the dot-com era, literally 20 years ago at the turn of the century, we were dealing with a very similar client where investors were finding out the hard way that a lot of those companies that they got involved with when they went bankrupt, they were going to be in tough shape. So it does matter where you are, where you reside, and where those companies, even if they face bankruptcy, where they reside too.
Locally, there is a major conference being held at the Atlanta Federal Reserve Bank next week. What's going on, and why should this matter to everybody?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jeff. This is a really big deal. You know, I think the folks here in Atlanta and in Georgia don't realize how fortunate we are to have a Federal Reserve Bank right in our own city. And the reason that it's important is because we do have the opportunity to take advantage of the bank's proximity to us, the kind of information that they put out, the meetings and the conferences. On Monday and Tuesday next week, there is a major conference taking place on technology disruption in the financial system. And it's important for us because we've talked before about the economy here in Atlanta being so heavily dependent on fintech. It's important for us to pay attention to what comes out of the Fed. And all of the people invited are the who's who players in the financial services industry, the banking industry, and the fintech industry. And they're going to be examining the influence of technology, especially coming out of the pandemic, and what can be done, what lessons can be learned. It's an important conference.
Greg Johnson, the CEO of Rubicon Crypto. Always enjoy talking with you. Always feel like I'm a little bit smarter after I spend a couple of minutes with you. But I'm already poor, so I'm not sure I have any money to invest. But nonetheless, I feel like I know what I'm talking about a little bit more.
That's the whole goal.
Mission accomplished. Thank you, Greg.